Have you started yet?
I did. I pushed the button.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Barbie file. It's called the Barbie file because it's pink.
Wow.
So if you get a green one, it's called the Green Monster file. But it's an accordion file. I got mine at Target in the dollar bins, which are getting more like that. So weird. Okay, in the first section of your accordion file, you're going to be putting the guest surveys that you got collected at a home show from people that book shows with you. So you always have their contact information with you. If you need to make a quick call, follow up with them about something, you always have their contact information and the date of that show. So if you've got your calendar, you always know when their show is. The second section is for those maybes and rescheduled show. I would also put your guest survey in there. If somebody put maybe on there, or they had to reschedule with you or cancel their show, move their guest survey to that second section, and then when you have like 5 minutes, or you're sitting in car line to pick up your kids, call those people and follow up with them and see if they'll book a show with you. The third section is for future contacts. You can collect business cards from people or contact information of people that you meet when you're out and about. This is what we call like your lifestyle business. You're out doing life, living life. I had a really crazy thing happen to me today. We had a mattress delivered to our house today, and I had my retired jewelry on our kitchen table because I'm getting ready to have my sample sale on Thursday. And the gentleman that delivered our mattress and carried it upstairs for me said, "Do you sell jewelry or something?" And I said, "Yes, I do. It allows me to stay home with my kids." And he said, "Oh, wow, can you tell me more about it?" So we had a little seriously, about a 30-second conversation about what I do and how much I make and all that stuff. And he said, "Well, this might be something my girlfriend would be interested in." So right there, in my lifestyle, just at my home, living life, I handed him a curiosity package, went home with the catalog, and told him to have his girlfriend call me. So you just never know when you're going to have those people that are interested in what you're wearing or anything like that. So get their information, stick it in there, and then ask them permission to put them, that you can put them on your maybe later list, so that they know they're anticipating a phone call from you, maybe in a week or in a couple months, so that they are not surprised that you're calling them. That kind of empowers you, gives you that permission to call them. Okay, number 4, the fourth section is your preferred customer list. This is a list of those that come to your shows, but they won't ever book shows themselves. I have a couple of those. They're great jewelry lovers and buyers. They buy a lot of jewelry, they love to buy my jewelry, but they will not book a show with me. But it's kind of nice having people like that who buy a lot of jewelry. This could be like the list that you use for your early bird specials, like maybe when you're doing a sample sale with your retired jewelry and your hostesses and your preferred customers, you invite them maybe an hour early so they get the first pick of the jewelry or something like that. So this is the people that are your like VIP customers. And maybe there's a customer special going on with Premier, so you want to call them first and tell them about it. So that's why you want that list with you. Okay, section number 5, this is your prospects, your hopefuls for the business. You get that information from the guest survey, so just take that guest survey, file it in section number 5. Number 6, your return exchange list. Whenever you have somebody do a return exchange, it's really you don't have to do it, but it's really special if you take note of who that was. Once that jewelry is delivered, because we know we get an email from Premier saying the piece has been shipped to them. Once that jewelry has been delivered, call them up a week or 2 later, check on them. So, do you like the new piece of jewelry? Does it fit this time? Or if they ordered something else, they exchanged something. Do you like this piece over the other piece? Just check up on them. Customer care calls are really critical. They can really change your business. It causes people to become loyal to you because you act like it means that you care. Section number 7. The Hood & House packing list. If you're not familiar with Hood & House, it's a program that you can get through Premier's website. It tracks all your orders. It's very, very useful. I could go talk about that for hours. But what they do is that after you submit an order, you can print the packing list, which will list every individual person that's ordered from that jewelry show, their name, their phone number, and what they ordered. So you can print this off Hood & House if you have it. If you don't have Hood & House, you could just print the final receipt order from the Premier website. And then use that list to make those customer care calls 1 to 2 weeks after the jewelry's been delivered. You know when the jewelry's delivered because Premier sends us that email. Follow up with them, make sure they're happy. A lot of times, if they're not happy, you can do a return exchange then. You've already taken care of that for them. They don't have to call you. Or maybe they want to purchase something else because they were like the jewelry. Hey, they might even book a show with you then. You don't have to make these calls, just like Jen talked about. You could send this as a text message. Send this as an email. Just follow up with them. Okay, section number 8 is for keeping it personal. We know that is Jen Horner's favorite thing. She was very, it was true to something close to her heart was keeping everything personal, writing notes, handwritten notes. So keep a handful of cards and stamps in this section to send a personal note. There are times where it is appropriate to send a personal handwritten note, and so then you always have that with you, and then you can just drop it in the mail. Okay, 9th section. Once again, this comes from Put in House, but you can write your own list out. Past hostesses. There's going to be many uses for this list, and it's convenient to have it on hand. If you are doing a book-a-thon for yourself, you don't have to go searching through all your old files to find all your hostesses' contact info. It's right there in one place. You can do it when you're in the car line. You can do it when you're at your son's soccer practice, games, whatever. If you have 5 minutes, you can pull out that list and start going through and doing your own book-a-thon. Section 10, it's good to have your upline and your downlines information. You never know when you might need it. You know, if your phone dies and you need to call someone, we have their contact info there. Section 11, stick a bunch of style guides and those really new, cute, you know, the square OP brochures that they have that are really small. Stick a bunch in that section. Style guides are very, very cheap. You get like a pack of 50, I think it's like $3 or $4. They're very inexpensive. I don't use them at my shows, but they would be a great thing to just pass out to people when they comment on your jewelry, because there's information about fashion in there. There's a select few popular pieces in there. I think there's a little bit of information about the business even. It's perfect. It's a lot cheaper than giving somebody a catalog and losing a catalog. Much, much cheaper. But yeah, pass those out like candy. Leave them in the doctor's office when you're at the doctor. And then the last one, owed balances. There's usually 1 or 2 people that owes you some money for something, so then you just keep track of it and you never lose that list. So it's just a great place to store it. So it's kind of like a mini office in one small little folder, but it just helps you to keep track of everything so you don't have all these random pieces of paper. So that's what I usually end up having, is random pieces of paper in random places, and then I lose them. So this is helping. I haven't, as you can see, mine's empty. I just got mine, but I'm gonna fill it up with stuff. Anybody have any questions about that?
Right idea. I've been looking for something like that.
Good.
My OCDness is.
I know. I'm all over this.
So like Christmas morning. I'm just so on my mind.
Good.
Just one more comment again. Again, another video that I saw. Whoever it was said that they had a little teeny notepad. So when, in one of these you mentioned it, and it made me think about it. When you do just have, and I can't think of which one it was. Anyways, when you meet somebody, or like the mattress, that's what it was, the mattress guy, to get the girlfriend's information, and you just pull out that little notepad, and that's something that would have been useful for me for a while, but like to have that little, because then you can get the person's contact instead of you just handing something and saying, you know, call me, or if you need anything, email me. They're not, you know,
right.
Not necessarily are they ever going to email, and you just lost a possible contact. So
that's a good idea. Good idea. So you could stick that probably in the front of the recording file.
Yeah.
And you always have that with you too, that's in your purse.
Get those at the dollar store.
Yes, you can
Real
do
thin,
that.
real
So $2.
small
For your
ones
file.
that-
These
Yeah.
were only $1.92 at Walmart,
There you go. That would work too.
and they're cute.
Okay, any other questions about the Barbie file? All right, the next part, the secret for success. Pastor Robert Jeffords, he's the pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas. He spoke on the designer cruise, and he also spoke at Raleigh last year. He's kind of, I'm not sure if his official title is the pastor of Premier, but he speaks and shows up a lot at Premier functions. But he had some really great things to say on that day, and I just wanted to pass this on to you. He said, the greatest challenge in life is keeping focused, and that is so true. In today's life, we are crazy busy, and it's hard to stay focused on one task for 5 seconds because your children are screaming at you, or the phone is ringing, or dinner needs to be cooked, or you have one thing after the other after the other. He says that he believes that vision is overrated. A lot of times people say, if you just have the vision, you're going to succeed. Well, there has to be work behind that vision, and he believes that persistence is truly the key to success. It's not just the vision. So I'm going to read the 2 verses that he gave. Proverbs 10:4-5 says, a slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. He who gathers in the summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps in harvest is a son who brings shame. And then also Proverbs 13:4 says, the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. So he talked about the 6 principles of persistence, and he believes this would be your key to success. So, number one, understanding the value of persistence. Persistence is what gets you where you need to go. It's not a matter of luck. It's not a matter of who your parents are, where you went to school, who you know, who you don't know. It's more than that. It's work. Okay, this business, if you're going to be successful in this business, it's not just because maybe you grew up and your mom loved jewelry, so you have a great sense of fashion already. It's not necessarily that. There's a lot more to being successful in this business than just that. So understand that it's not because of who your upline is or anything like that, although you guys have an amazing upline. We're very blessed by that. But it's more has to do with work and your persistence. Number two, learn to let go of the past and focus on the future. We need to look forward and not behind. Refuse to look back on your failures. It's so easy to look back on those failures and get stuck in that, rather than to look forward and say, okay, that happened, it's over, but what can I do now and make a better future for myself? You need to remember, and I love when you said this, yesterday ended last night. Okay, whatever happened yesterday or last week for you, it's over. It's done. Okay, you might have made a mistake, or somebody might have hurt you, or you might have not gotten that booking at that show, but that's over. So now you need to look to the future. You need to make sure, what can I do now to make sure that I get a booking at the next show? He also said that after celebration of some great success, move on and look to the future. I also thought this was really great. A lot of times we dwell on our failures, but then there's times where we dwell on our successes, and we dwell on that success probably too much. And we need to continue to look forward. Don't just dwell on what the good things that are happening, although it's great to be thankful and to praise God for those good things. But once that's happened, celebrate it for a time and then move on. If you just sit there and keep celebrating that success, you might forget to work in the future. It's all about that persistence, continually working, whether things are going good or they're not going good.
They make your setbacks harder too.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Number three, learn the importance of beginning. It takes more energy to get an object moving than to keep it moving. And isn't that like a certain law of
Physics or something?
yes, because I'm not a scientist, but we know that in nature, but also ourselves. Sometimes you don't have the desire or the drive to get started. You just have to do it. You just have to say, okay, I'm going to make that phone call, or okay, I'm going to sit down and, get my jewelry together, or whatever it needs to be that you need to get yourself moving in this business. Do one thing, and a lot of times that gives you the excitement to do the next thing and the next thing. It's not always fun to make phone calls or text or to have a calendar that looks a little bit empty, but if you just try the first phone call or try the first text message, the next one's a little easier and the next one's easier. Just start doing something, okay? Sometimes if I'm a little discouraged and I'm having a hard time just getting myself motivated, I'll turn on a Julie David video or watch Nancy Hanrahan or something like that. Nancy Hanrahan just put out her latest video, her fashion video, the jewelry that she's showing for the next 2 months. And I just sat down to do some work and I was really tired and I was not really motivated. So I just turned that on and I only made it halfway through and I was like, okay, I'm going to get something done. Because I was excited then about what I was doing. And so I stopped the video and I just got done what I needed to get done at that time. Motivation comes after you start working. You are more likely to act yourself into a feeling than to feel yourself into an action. Do you want me to say that again? Okay. You are more likely to act yourself into a feeling than to feel yourself into an action. When he said that, everyone was like, say it again. It was just so good. I've never heard it said that way.
Say it one more time.
Sure, of course. You are more likely to act yourself into a feeling than to feel yourself into an action. Okay, number 4, anticipate setbacks. This is something I'm just going to add in that I just heard recently. Ann and I had the opportunity to go down to Savannah a couple weeks ago for some leadership training for Premier, and there was a couple that gave their testimony, and they have been through the worst of the worst in the last 6 months or so. And she said a statement that I had never really heard somebody say before, but that really has kind of stuck with me the last couple of weeks. And she just said, life happens every 3 to 6 months. And life as in those big things that are kind of life-changing that really make you step back and think about, who you are and where you are maybe with God or with your family or things like that. And they had one of those situations where just one thing after the other had happened. And for me, that was in January. My brother was diagnosed with cancer. That was life happening to me. I was just like, wow, wasn't expecting this. He's very young, and, we didn't know what was going to happen. That was life. And so don't let that stop you, okay? Anticipate those setbacks. The way to succeed is to double your failure rate. You need to know that life is going to happen. You just need to know that that's going to happen. You need to know that there's going to be people who are going to cancel shows. You need to know there's going to be people who are going to postpone shows. Anticipate that. As a leader, we know that you all, when you first get in, you're really, really excited, and then you get through that quick start period, and then a lot of times there's a little bit of a lull after quick start. We know that's going to happen for you, and that's why a lot of times we check up on you after that quick start. I mean, we're checking up on you all the time, but we really are trying to make you come to training, really trying to get you motivated, because we anticipate that for you. Well, you also need to be anticipating those setbacks. The more times you attempt something, the more times you will succeed. He shared the story about Thomas Edison. I think we all know about, I don't remember the exact number, the number of times that he attempted to make a light bulb, and when he finally got it right, he said, well, I learned 200 and sometimes ways not to make it. He considered every failure a success because he was that one step closer to making that light bulb. The more times you try, the more times you will fail, and the more times you will also succeed. You have to try to succeed, but just know that among that trying, you're going to fail a couple times, but you will also succeed. Okay, number 5, expect to work hard. Hard work isn't going to kill you. You will pass out before you die. He talked about this story of a football coach who they were doing those 2-a-day practices in the summer before the fall season started, and the coach had told all of the players, like, I'm going to work you till you think you're going to die, but there's this great little thing that the Lord put in you that's going to cause you to pass out first before you die. And so he's like, once you pass out, we'll get you watered up, and then we're going to get you back out on that field. You have to work hard to be able to get where you want to be. But just know it's not going to kill you. You might pass out, you might get tired. You're not going to die. It will get you where you want to go, though. And then number 6, understand and pursue the right goals. Number 1, make God first. In everything that you're doing, make sure that God is number 1 and that your family comes next. He said an interesting statement. He said, being an executive director, and for those of you who've been in for a little while, or if you have not, executive director is at the top part of this company. Being an executive director is not going to fill the void. Only God's going to fill the void. Make sure you keep your priorities straight when you're working hard in this business. You need to be persistent, but you need to make sure your priorities are straight. So, that's all I have to say about that. I think we're just over about a year now. Carrie came and visited us a little over a year ago, and she brought this when she came, and I loved it, and I tweaked it, changed a little bit, made it my own, started doing it. At the time, I think I had only 2 or 3 jewelers, and I have 16 in my downline right now, so I think it's working for me. So I'm hoping that it will hopefully help you or encourage you or give you something new to try. Most of you probably do big money or big money, little money, which is a great booking or sponsoring activity. Robin's going to talk about it a little bit, and that's what I definitely keep doing that. This is something I added on top of that. I eventually stopped doing big money. I dropped it because my show was a little bit too long, and I just do this, but you can do the 2 together and it will work. This is 2 separate sheets. Every single person that comes to my show gets this. When I print it off my computer, I usually try to print 2 to a page. You know what I'm saying? Where I print both sheets so it's all on the same sheet of paper. This works too, though. It doesn't matter. It's all the same information. But when I get to my sponsoring activity, I tell everyone, I hand this to everyone at the beginning of the show. I have little guest packets, and this is in it, and a guest survey, and my business card. It's all just in a little envelope. Everyone gets one, and I ask them to pull this out at the very end. And I literally read it to them. That's all I do, but I try to keep their attention through it. So, this one says, it's so good you will scarf this down. Learn why we are wrapped up in Premier. It used to say now is the time, and it would talk about you would get a watch. But this says if you book a date with me in the next week to hear more about the Premier opportunity, you will receive a beautiful scarf for free. I used to give away the watches. I couldn't find the watches anymore. So I talked to my sister-in-law, Becca, if you all know her, she's one of my jewelers in Tennessee, and she came up with a new scarf verbiage. Premier has some great, really cute chevron infinity scarves right now that they're selling. I believe they're $3.99. Those, I know that those are more expensive than your average, prize, which we usually say don't spend more than $1 or $2 on a prize. However, when it comes to sponsoring, it is a little bit different. Sometimes you need that extra incentive, and so I think it's worth that $3.99. Especially if you sponsor them into the business, you get that $200 bonus from Premier, the training allowance. So $3.99 investment for a $200 payback is pretty good. So then I read this exactly to them as it's written right here. I say, per Premier policy, this is a no-pressure meeting, the benefits of Premier Designs. 50% profit, no sales quotas, office space or inventory required, biblically based company with top ratings of the Better Business Bureau, and there's part-time and full-time opportunities available. At that time, I do explain to them that I personally work this part-time, but there are many women in this business who work this full-time and make full-time income from it. So there's opportunities either way. The two most common questions in the business is, number one, what's the investment? Then I read them exactly this paragraph as it's written right there. Recently, the most that you could invest in the business was $1,200, but with the new boutique and all the add-on collections, if they order all of them, it's $1,600. I haven't talked to Ann and Jen about this, but and Robin, I think we would all agree, I probably wouldn't encourage somebody to spend all add-on collections. That's a lot of money to put into the business. I would definitely encourage a new jeweler, though, to spend of course they have to spend the $395, and the Premier Boutique, which when you add those two together, it's $870. So that's why I changed my wording there just a little bit recently, because I would encourage those two items when you first get started. I mentioned how Premier offers financing with no interest for 6 months. Talk about the 50%, so it's easy to pay that investment off very quickly. Actually, it would take less than 6 shows now. I should probably change that. If you decide no longer you want to be a jeweler in the first year of signing up, Premier will purchase your jewelry back from you at 90% of the cost you paid as long as it's still in good condition. You have nothing to lose. It's very important to say all of that because that kind of gives them an out, like, okay, if I don't like this, Premier's going to give me my money back or most of it back. So how do you learn to do this business? That's the other question I get asked a lot. How do I learn how to be a jewelry lady, or what fashion is, or anything like that? I talk about how the two of us will get them started, about these monthly trainings, all of those things, and I just read it exactly as it's there. Okay, so then the second sheet, I refer them, and I said, okay, now look at the right side of your page, because like I said, I usually have 2 to a page. And I tell them, these are my first real 8 shows. These are the first 8 shows I had a year and a half, 2 years ago when I first started. And as you see there at the top, this is the first 8 shows when I began working with Premier Design Story and had no idea what I was doing. And I talked to them about how there was a lot of fashion things I didn't understand, and I had to learn all of that. And yet I was still able to sell the jewelry. So if you're interested in setting your own hours, being your own boss, and having limitless options for your own success, consider Premier. So then I point out to them the amount of retail I sold, the free jewelry I gave away. I think it's important that they understand I give away a lot of free jewelry, and that's what keeps people booking. The earnings that I make and how much I make per hour. I like to mention to them that it's not a question of are you going to make money. The question is, are you going to show the jewelry? Okay, if you're willing to get out there and show the jewelry, wearing it, showing it to your friends to get them to book parties with you, people are going to buy the jewelry. They love the jewelry. It's a matter of if you're willing to take that step in showing the jewelry. And then I tell them again, I work mine part-time. We're doing 1 show a week. I make $800 to $1,000 a month. And then I have them, I refer back to the guest survey, which we discussed last month, and how they fill out, scale of 1 to 10, are you flying the wall, do you want to meet for coffee, and then they can go from there. So this is what I'm doing. It seems to be working. People really like the extra incentive, the instant gratification, and I have, all the scarves laid out and all the pretty colors and everything like that. So, is there any questions about?
When do you put this in your show? I don't do a sponsoring activity right now in my show just because I think it makes the show forever long. And I was going to do big money, little money, but then I just felt like there were going to be too many games. Mm-hmm. But this would work because it's not really a game. Right. It's just more of information. So when do you put this?
Well, we always have to share the business plan every show. And right. So I just put this at the very end after I do my booking activity I do stack the boxes and I do my booking activity, ring bling cha-ching. After that, because we've already done like half the survey, then I just task them. I say, okay, one more thing. Well, I'm doing the 10 question share right now, so if you're not familiar with that, you can email me and I'd be happy to send that to you. And I think it's question number 8 or 9. Somebody asks me, I love all the jewelry, I want it all. How can I become a jeweler to get it all? Or something like, it's a question, something like that. So then I'm like, great question. And I have them, I'm like, here, pull this out, let's talk about this.
Okay.
And then they talk about it, and then we do the survey after that.
Okay.
And then the scarf, what's your version of the scarf?
I just with the top.
Yeah, with that scarf though, everyone, I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Just at the top, it's so good, you will scarf this down.
Right.
You don't have the scarf at the show,
Yes,
do
I
you?
do.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yes.
Okay, some people say you should wait till they show up at coffee for you. I don't feel that way. I feel like if I do that, I just felt like more likely people were going to cancel on me. At the beginning of my business, I didn't offer any incentive. I just said, meet me for coffee and I'll buy you a cup of coffee because I didn't have a lot of money to put into the business. But then I started thinking through that. Well, a cup of coffee like Starbucks is going to be like $3.99, okay? So I offer them the scarf up front, and I, thinking about it, my jeweler here, Angie, she was so excited about that watch. She, of course, started wearing it, and she had people at her work asking her about that and saying, is that Premier? Well, actually, it wasn't, but it looks almost identical to our watches. But she was able to then tell them the story. Well, if you're wearing a new scarf, you can also tell they're going to compliment your really cute scarf, and you can tell them where you got it. She wore it to our OP. She was very excited about it. Most people, I don't even know if I've had any jeweler or prospect that hasn't worn their watch or scarf to their OP. Like, they're very excited about it.
Well, and I think, in my experience, I do whatever incentive I have, I do give it to them then as well. Because in my experience, I just don't know many people who are going to take something and then not show up. They're going to feel pretty bad.
Right. It's that instant gratification, first of all. They're taking home, it's going to remind them of you, because every time they look at it or wear it, they're going to think of you. And yes, if they're taking something home, they're probably not going to cancel on you. I had one lady who did schedule an OP with me, and I was 99% sure she was not interested in the business. But I went ahead and did it, and we scheduled the OP. Well, then I come to find out, no, she wasn't, but she had a couple of friends that she has now referred me to several people. And so that one watch was worth it to me, just because she's become quite a good referral center for me.
Cool.
So, yeah. Did you have a question? Oh, sorry. Anyone else? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Allison.